When I reached out to you just on some silly Canadian news, you wrote back and said, this is nuclear. And I think you were talking about the publication of previously classified information that was used in the witch hunt to find the Russians that were in collusion with the Trump campaign, in particular, the spying committed by the Obama administration on the Trump campaign, including General Michael Flynn. Is that what you were referring to when you said this is nuclear?
Yes, on Wednesday, Acting Director of National Intelligence Rick Grinnell, who I've known for a very long time actually, released a declassified list of the names of Obama administration officials who had unmasked General Michael Flynn's name in the last days of that administration. And the list was rather long. It was about 39 people, some of whom were intelligence officials, and that's the kind of thing they do to try to figure out what's going on. But some of them were political appointees. Some of them were people who had no connection to the question of relations with Russia whatsoever. The ambassador to Italy, for example, was one of those who had requested that Flynn's name be released. Now, it's a little fuzzy as to what exactly they requested, because they all received some kind of intelligence documents and the names of the Americans are hidden. And then the unmasking process is when you ask them to reveal what the name is, what the hidden name is, who the identity of the person is in this wireless surveillance transcript. They didn't ask for Flynn precisely, but they asked for this name, who I'm led to believe could only have been Michael Flynn. In other words, they knew they were asking about Flynn. They were asking about him in early and mid-December, which is long before he was having conversations with the Russian ambassador that eventually got him in trouble. Not that there was anything illegal about those conversations, but he was accused later of lying to the FBI about the content of those conversations. It's not clear that he lied to the FBI, but he pleaded guilty as part of a plea bargain. It seems because the FBI threatened to indict, or the Department of Justice threatened to indict his son. They put a lot of pressure on him, and he acquiesced. Now he's trying to change his plea, and the Department of Justice wants to drop the case. But Grinnell basically has named and shamed the Obama administration officials who were involved in this unmasking effort, including Samantha Power, the ambassador to the United Nations, and Trey Gowdy, former Representative Trey Gowdy, when he questioned her in a now declassified hearing at the House Intelligence Committee, informed her that she was the biggest unmasker of U.S. persons in the history of the country, that nobody has ever unmasked as many names, or nobody has ever made as many unmasking requests as Samantha Power. She seemed kind of confused by it all. She claimed that she wasn't responsible for all those unmasking requests, but she's also one of the most partisan members of the Obama inner circle. So partisan, in fact, I don't know if you remember this, but during the 2008 primary, they had to drop her from the Obama campaign because she called Hillary Clinton a monster. And that's how fiercely she fights for Obama. So she was very active, or her office was very active, in unmasking names, and she asked for Flynn's name to be unmasked several times. So it's all very interesting. We still don't know who leaked Flynn's name to the Washington Post. That's the only actual crime here that we know of, because it's illegal to leak classified information to the media, and his name, while unmasked, was still classified. We don't know who did that, but I think we may find out.
I also note that Joe Biden, if I'm not mistaken, was on the list of people who saw the secret name in.
That was the biggest brand new piece of information, was that Joe Biden was the last person on the list in chronological order. He was the last person to ask for the unmasking, and he did it on an interesting day. He did it on January 12th, 2017, which is, first of all, barely more than a week left in the Obama administration. So Biden had nothing to do at work, really. There's no real reason for him to have asked for anything to be unmasked. It's also the day when the Washington Post first revealed that Mike Flynn was having conversations with the Russian ambassador. So it looks like Biden may have, out of curiosity, tried to figure out the story. But we don't know what he knew, and we don't know when he knew it, because he was sitting in with Obama on January 5th on this big meeting that Obama had with all the intelligence and law enforcement chiefs, where they planned out who was going to approach Trump and what they were going to find out, what they were going to say. So there's a lot that we have to uncover. What we do know is that Joe Biden was not completely truthful with the public when he was asked earlier this week by George Stephanopoulos on ABC News, Good Morning America. He was asked about whether he knew about the Flynn investigation, and he said he didn't know anything. Then Stephanopoulos said, but you were there at this January 5th meeting. Then Biden backtracked and said, oh yeah, well, I knew there was an investigation, but I didn't know more than that. Well, now we know he knew more because he asked for Flynn's name to be unmasked. So he certainly knew that Flynn was captured on these surveillance transcripts of the Russian ambassador. And we don't know what else Joe Biden knew. Of course, he could claim now that he doesn't remember, and that would be a credible excuse at the moment because, as Julian Castro said during one of the debates, Joe Biden can barely remember what happened 2 minutes ago. So not being able to remember would be a plausible excuse.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.